Hey there, fellow gardeners. If you've spent any time in the gardening community, you've probably heard the gospel of worm castings. They're magic for your soil, people say. Your plants will never thrive without them. But today, I want to challenge that popular belief. Not because worm castings aren't useful, they are, but because relying on them exclusively can actually harm your garden in ways most beginners and even seasoned gardeners don't realize. I'm Agness from Soilpower, and today I'm going to share a more effective, natural, and budget-friendly way to supercharge your garden. We're going to dive deep into making your own fermented plant juices, FPJs, and other soil builders that outperform store-bought worm castings without the hefty price tag or the dependency they can create. Whether you're growing a small backyard patch or a larger plot, by the end of this guide, you'll have clear, actionable steps you can follow right away. Let's start with the reality check. Worm castings are celebrated because they're packed with nutrients and beneficial microbes, but here's the catch. Not all worm castings are created equal. Commercially sold castings often come from worms fed a standardized diet, which may not include the diverse nutrients your garden actually needs. Over time, your soil can become imbalanced, favoring certain microbes over others, and that imbalance can slow plant growth instead of boosting it. Another point many gardeners overlook is cost versus return. High-quality worm castings can be expensive, and the more you buy, the more your garden depends on them. It's a bit like buying vitamins instead of eating a balanced diet. Sure, they help, but they're not a substitute for the real thing. So, what's the alternative? Well, it's all about harnessing the power of plants themselves. By using FPJs and other homemade soil builders, you're actually feeding your soil exactly what it craves. Fresh, living nutrients that plants can absorb right away. Not only that, but you're also boosting microbial diversity in ways that worm castings alone just can't match. FPJs are, honestly, a cornerstone of organic gardening methods that have been popularized by natural farming practitioners. They're basically concentrated plant extracts that have been fermented, which breaks down plant material into a form your soil microbes and plants can immediately use. The real beauty of FPJs is their versatility. You can tailor them to boost leafy growth, flowering, or fruiting, depending on which plants you choose to ferment. Here's what you'll need to get started: fresh leafy greens or flowering plants, sugar or jaggery and water, a container with a breathable lid, and, well, a little patience. That's it. No worms, no expensive supplements, just nature's own nutrients concentrated for your garden's benefit. The best part? You control every step, meaning you know exactly what goes into your garden. You're building resilient, self-sustaining soil rather than relying on someone else's product. The first step is selecting your plants. For beginners, it can feel overwhelming, but here's a simple rule. Choose plants rich in the nutrients you want to emphasize. For a nitrogen-focused FPJ, go for fast-growing leafy greens like comfrey moringa nettle or even kale leaves. Nitrogen is essential for leafy growth, so if you want lush green plants, this is your go-to mixture. For a phosphorus and mineral-focused FPJ, you'll want to use flowering parts such as dandelion flowers, marigolds, or even banana peels. Phosphorus is, absolutely crucial for root development, flowering, and fruiting. This FPJ will really help your tomato plants set fruit, get your peppers thriving, or make your flowers bloom profusely. So, how much should you actually harvest? For a 10 square meter garden, roughly 1 kilogram of plant material per FPJ batch is sufficient. Beginners can totally scale up or down, depending on the size of your garden, and always pick healthy, pesticide-free plants. After all, what you put in your FPJ goes straight into your soil. Once you've harvested your plants, chop them into smaller pieces. Smaller pieces ferment faster and, honestly, release nutrients more efficiently. If you're using banana peels or any tougher materials, just crush them lightly to help the microbes break them down. Next, mix your plant material with sugar. For every kilogram of plants, add 1 liter of sugar. Sugar is the food that kickstarts fermentation, allowing beneficial microbes to thrive. Then, add 10 liters of water and stir until the sugar dissolves. Pour the mixture into a container with a breathable lid. Cheesecloth works perfectly, by the way. The goal here is to ferment, not rot. Keep the mixture in a warm area, ideally around 20 to 25 degrees Celsius, and remember to stir it every 2 days. After 7 to 10 days, your FPJ should be ready, bubbly, slightly sweet, and full of life. Here's where, honestly, many beginners get it wrong. Concentration and dosage really matter. FPJs are potent, so they must be diluted before applying. A good rule of thumb is 1 part FPJ to 20 parts water. For a 10 square meter garden, that's about 500 milliliters of FPJ mixed with 10 liters of water. You can apply FPJs in 2 ways, as a foliar spray or as a soil drench. Foliar spraying delivers nutrients directly to the leaves for quick uptake, while soil drenching feeds the roots and the soil microbiome simultaneously. I personally alternate both methods every week, just observing how my plants respond. One of my favorite ways to gauge success is by setting up a comparison. On my channel Soilpower, I often run side-by-side trials, one plot with worm castings, another with FPJs. Over time, the differences become obvious. FPJ-treated plants are greener, grow faster, and often produce more flowers and fruit. Garden size should dictate how much FPJ you prepare. Here's a quick guide for beginners. For a small 5 square meter plot, half the recipe is sufficient. 500 grams of leafy greens, 500 milliliters sugar, 5 liters water. For a larger 20 square meter garden, double the recipe. 2 kilograms leafy greens, 2 liters sugar, 20 liters water. The principle is the same regardless of size. Maintain the 1-to-1 sugar to plant material ratio and the 1-to-10 plant to water ratio. Then, dilute the finished FPJ 1-to-20 before application. The beauty of FPJs is that they're, honestly, pretty flexible. Over time, you'll learn to tweak them based on your plant's needs. More nitrogen for leafy vegetables, more phosphorus for fruiting crops. A garden is, well, a living experiment. After applying FPJs, take notes. How do the leaves look? Are they dark green or pale? Are the stems strong? Are flowers setting fruit? If leaves turn yellow, your plants may need more nitrogen. If flowering or fruiting is weak, boost your phosphorus, FPJ. Over time, your observations will become a personalized blueprint for your garden. This is something worm castings alone can't offer because they're a one-size-fits-all solution. FPJs also encourage a thriving microbial ecosystem. The microbes in fermented plant juice help break down organic matter in your soil, improve water retention, and make nutrients more available to your plants. In other words, your soil becomes self-sustaining, which is the ultimate goal of organic gardening. Switching from a reliance on worm castings to FPJs offers several tangible benefits. First, there's cost efficiency. One batch of FPJ can feed your entire garden for weeks, whereas worm castings must be repurchased repeatedly. Second, plant health and productivity improve noticeably. In my experience, leafy vegetables show vibrant green color, fruiting plants set more flowers, and overall growth accelerates. Third, FPJs build soil resilience. Unlike worm castings, which provide nutrients but limited microbial diversity, FPJs stimulate a variety of beneficial microbes, creating a living soil that's better at resisting disease, absorbing water, and sustaining plant growth season after season. Lastly, FPJs are customizable. You can adapt your recipes to your local conditions, seasonal availability of plants, and specific garden goals. This flexibility is something no pre-packaged product can match. While fermented plant juices are, really powerful, it's important to follow proper ratios and dilution methods. Over-application can actually stress your plants or even alter the soil pH for a little while. So, start small, observe your plants closely, and scale up as needed. And remember, healthy fermented plant juices always start with healthy, pesticide-free plants. Worm castings definitely have their place, but honestly, they shouldn't be your go-to solution every single time. By harnessing the power of fermented plant juices, you're not just feeding your plants, they're feeding the soil and all its microbial life too. You're investing in a sustainable, resilient, and thriving garden that honestly performs better than any store-bought product could. Your journey as a gardener doesn't end here. Go ahead and experiment with different plants, keep some detailed notes, and just watch your garden transform over time. Once you try fermented plant juices, you'll probably find yourself wondering, why did I ever rely solely on worm castings? If you found this guide useful, be sure to subscribe to Soilpower for more practical, actionable tips. Share this article with your fellow gardeners so we can all grow healthier, stronger gardens, together. After all, the best gardens are the ones we nurture with knowledge, care, and, well, a little DIY magic. Watermark, Soilpower 5.